All right, guys. Blaine from Bloodmark Outdoors. For those of you that have already liked and followed the page, I greatly appreciate it. Please share the page, like the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page as well. Everything that's going to come up on Facebook is going to be on YouTube for right now, and then eventually we're going to separate the two. Facebook's only going to get pieces or special pieces, and then YouTube will get its own separate thing there also. But once again, thanks. I appreciate it, guys. So today I want to talk about mineral. I'm not going to talk about the composition today. That's going to be another day. Today I'm going to talk about mineral sites. Why, how to benefit from them, how to get footage and data off of them. So I always put my mineral as close as I possibly can to a natural path of movement for deer without disturbing the natural path of movement. I will set it off to the side within 10-15 yards. I will put it that way simply because I don't expect to pull deer 60-70 yards away from where they're already walking. If I'm putting in an area that I know deer don't frequent as often, I'm not expecting that mineral is going to be a reason that they're going to continue to show up there. If you're doing that expecting to hunt over it, and you're coming into mid to late October, and you're just not seeing the deer that you've seen before, this and that, it's because while mineral is beneficial, it's, in my personal opinion, unless you have an extremely early season, which in Ohio we don't, ours doesn't kick off until September 25th this year, deer pretty much, they'll still go to your mineral site, but they're not hanging out there the way that they were before. Why? Because bucks have shed their velvet for the most part, and their testosterone's up, and at that point antler growth is done. They're going to get hard-horned, and that everything changes from that point forward. So I always put my mineral real close to a natural path. I like sunken in depressions, small places of pool water. I don't like seeing little runoff and everything like that. Mineral, if you're using a quality mineral, it tends to get a little expensive, which is okay. It's, buy once, cry once. It's just the way that it is, instead of burning through 50 bags of whatever Walmart has on sale that day and throwing it out hoping for the best. Personal opinion, most of that stuff tends to grow mold over it eventually anyway because of the attractants or flavoring that they dump into it. So you go through, you put your mineral down. I find these depressions, I scrape it out. We've established 3 so far. The 3 that we've established, you've seen the one in the other video right after a rain. So most of the mineral laying on the top was kind of flat. I was out there yesterday, I didn't take the camera, so it's on me. Just take my word for it if you want. They've already tore right back into it. We haven't had a hard rain in a couple days. They're getting right back down and digging into fresh soil because it leached into the soil. I put it out in these locations because I want to keep the deer as close to their natural path as possible. Not only do I want to keep them as close to their natural path as possible, I'm trying to get a real indicator of directional movement, and then I'm patterning it also at this time with pressure and moon phase more than weather because it's hot and humid up here. So I'm looking at that. I always put a camera there. If you put mineral out and you're not putting a camera up and you're just putting it out and you're walking out, or maybe you just don't care. Maybe you're just putting out because you like to see big healthy deer. That's awesome. That is cool. Me personally, I'm a hunter, therefore I want to know what's coming in because I want an inventory of what bucks are there during the summer. For the last 2 years, we've gotten enough data to know who stays come fall time. Really, who stays here in the next 2 weeks is when as Jeff Sturgis calls it, from Whitetail Habitat Solutions. If you check him out, he's phenomenal. But you look at the annual whitetail shift. You have bucks that just disappear. It's not that these deer just become nocturnal. They're up. They feed 5 times in a 24-hour period. You're just not seeing him during daylight because your piece of property you hunt that just so happens to be where he's at night, not during the day. But identification over a mineral site while supplementing the deer's health with a good camera there to collect this data lets you identify that deer. And then you can think back to the year before, other trail cam footage you have where that deer showed up again. Not saying to the hour, the minute, or the day, but I bet if you would track the weather, he would track pressure, you would track the overall moon phase, and you had a consistency of pictures there when you wasn't able to be in the stand, but you had pictures of him coming through, I bet you if you match that up with something similar coming up this year, as close as you can, I promise you just increase your odds of tagging that deer out. That's all there is to it. So building this data, you're getting it. Great. Do not get hung up on the bucks that are going to stay there during the summer. I'm not saying that your deer aren't going to stay. It's not what I'm saying at all. Where I'm at, we're in the process of rebuilding. We're in about year 2, 3-ish of rebuilding this deer herd. We're working to create a better habitat for bucks, which is something that we can talk about later too. If you guys would like, I can talk about things that people hate to talk about, the buck to doe ratio, and as Americans, we are quantity over quality anymore, and it cracks me up, but it applies to deer management as well. So when we hang your cameras and you're doing it, put your camera in a location the deer can't see it. I'm not saying hide your camera behind stuff. Me personally, I raise my cameras about 8 to 10 feet up off the ground. I do it because, one, it's harder to steal. Even though I hunt private land, some of the other people that tend to frequent this property are not as kind or understanding, or, to be honest, just morally decent people for the most part. So, and I don't know most of them. The majority I know, but the onesies and twosies that I don't know, I don't trust them because I don't know them. So I hang my stuff up that high, but the best benefit of it is that because I use cell cams in these locations right now, I am able to see the deer, not spook them, give them nothing out of place, nothing like that. They come in, they hang out on the mineral, just like the footage that you guys are like a good one is these bucks here. They come in. Now, if you look to the right, there's a buck, and I mean, it looks like he is staring dead at the camera, and I'm going to be honest with you, he probably is. But this is why I hang my camera so high, because deer like that, they come in and they eyeball that camera, I never see them again. Not like that. I don't see them in that location again. I'll catch camera footage of them somewhere else, but I don't see them again. And because I don't see them again, that was a huge indicator to move my camera up. So it is what it is. It's not the first time that it's happened to us on the property. It's happened to us multiple times. It was a hard lesson learned. Now, granted, these are summer bucks. So, and that buck in particular, he travels. I won't see him again until mid-November. Mid-November, I know which stand to set in if I want to kill that deer, as long as he makes it to that point and everything as far as the weather lines up like it did last year. Historically, Ohio with weather it's insane. It never makes sense. We've had snow in May, and we've also we've had a 60, 70 degree Christmas. So this place is hard to pin on. I'm from here. It's still hard to pin on. So, but I try to line that up. So it's coming back, that camera footage, you're lining it up. The reason that I don't hunt over my mineral sites is because these deer, once the velvet falls off the antlers, that's it. Those antlers are done growing. They're going to get hard antlered. The velvet is literally there to provide nutrients and nutrition into the antler mass growing. I mean, they're the fastest growing bone in the world, hence why you would want to supplement it to help for more bone growth, not just in antler, but overall body bone growth as well, and help with the digestive tract and everything. But you're doing this with a good quality mineral because you want more antler growth. Pictures are a lot cooler with bigger deer. It is what it is. But antler growth also shows you, that's a really good indicator of overall herd health. It gives you, it's kind of a snapshot of the seasonal life of these deer. So, and I'm not saying, like I said, throw this out there again, mineral is not the only thing you have to do to grow giants and freaks. There's so much more that goes into this. There's a lot more that goes into the biology of a deer, and if you have the time, patience, and money, and the ability to do so, by all means, dig in, have fun, start reading. You're going to drive yourself crazy, but at the end of the day, you're going to reap the benefits and rewards of what you're doing, which is going to be bigger deer. But I don't hunt over it because once the antlers stop growing, it's not that these minerals are no longer important to the deer. deer actually can store the majority of these minerals for a long time. You may not see the benefits of mineral for a year to 2 years later. And that's only if you consistently put it out. Like, mineral is not a one and done thing. And I tend to not want to hunt over mineral because deer frequency and stopping and hanging out at these locations just goes way down. Big bucks are no longer cruising in and hanging out at my mineral site because his velvet has shed. His environmental necessities have changed. He's going to bed in thicker stuff. His diet is starting to change. His water intake is starting to change. Deer get a substantial amount of water intake through green foliage. They absolutely do. But the colder it gets, they still drink water, and they're still getting it some from what they're eating, but at the same time, minerals kind of help counterbalance that and also help with the growth. But at the same time, he's not coming there as often. At that point, I'm drawing a lottery ticket hoping to kill a big buck over a mineral site, especially mid-October and on. At that point, it's just, I'm setting here. In my head, I'm setting here to set here, especially where I hunt. I'm setting here to set here, and I hope he comes out. I don't hunt there because come mid-September, my footage there will start to trickle down. I will still get bucks in the picture. I'll get a lot more does and fawns, which is great. It's helping them too. But what I'll do is I'll actually transition my cameras. I will move my cell phone cameras, or my cell cameras. I will move my Tactacams off of my mineral sites, and I will start to transition them into locations where I know deer cruise. I start to adhere, not that I don't throughout the year, but I pay way more attention to scent control. I'm going in and out as quietly as I possibly can, and doing these things. If I'm not going in quietly, the property owner actively, he drives his gator and tractors around the property constantly, and he stops in random locations all the time. They cut timber on the property. So we go out, and when we go out and I'm doing stuff, I'm doing my thing, he's cutting down, he could be cutting down dead ash trees, or we're going back and he's surveying trees and which trees need to be removed. Anything and everything. These deer are not, I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't stand by and watch the gator come in and out, but they don't necessarily associate the gator with hunting. Because come hunting season, the gator's not in the woods anymore, unless he's in there actively cutting, and he's always doing it on the other side away from where I'm hunting at. So we get into this and we really look into this. I move to those locations. I'm moving in layman's terms, I'm moving my damn cameras to where I'm going to hunt at, and there's going to be a stand within 20 to 30 yards there, and I'm starting to gather my data there. I'm starting to pull and see which deer are moving through there and which ones I expect to be there, and I'm looking for anything new that's coming through. So I know it's a bit long-winded. I typically would rather have these conversations in person, but social media is great because I can just put out a lot of stuff for you guys there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message. Like I said, I'm going to be doing, the next one we've got coming up, we're going to be talking about what mineral we use. I'll probably go into the mineral aspects of that a lot more, talking about it and the benefits. So bear with me, it'll probably be a little bit longer of a video. I appreciate it, guys. Please share. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all you guys do. Good luck out there. Have any questions, feel free to message. Look up the YouTube, or like the YouTube. Got an Instagram, and obviously you're here on Facebook. So appreciate it, guys. You guys have a happy Monday night. I'll see you guys later.